Guys, so I've just found a really interesting professor. His full name is Professor Teffo Lea. Actually, it's actually here that I don't know if he's from Polokwane or Limpopo, but he appears to be a lecturer at the University of South Africa at UNISA. And he has some really, really interesting points, guys, about South Africa. And if most of the black South Africans who usually come to my channel and really easily call me a makwere because of the perspective I usually try to take on this channel from the perspective of the minority. So what we do on Kwazani here is we try to really look at South Africa from the perspective of minority, understand how the minorities are thinking, what is really at the forefront of their thoughts. It could also give a lot of insight if we later add what the majority is also thinking. So here I try to focus on the Indians, the coloreds and the whites. What's really going on in their heads? What are they really seeing? How are they seeing South Africa? And this whole thing with the National Convention, John Steenhuisen from the DA has called it an expensive talk shop. Many people have actually argued, even the people from the majority blacks argue that there's no need for this kind of national convention. But I think the guy who has the top of the top, the cap on the whole argument of all of this is this Professor Teffo Lea. He's acidic in this interview. His points, they really feel like we're one just pouring acid on a situation, really corrosive, but corrosive in truth and not corrosive in, critique. That's one of the things I'm really picking. You have to watch this interview to the end, guys. But in case you don't know this professor, he was the one who came out to really discard the reason why South Africa still needs to be singing a kill the Boer, kill the farmer song in a post-democratic South Africa today, especially under rainbowism, so to speak. Let's quickly listen to what he had to say about that.
Why do we need singing this song in this era? Why do we? You know what? You can call Rubio and mention him. That's fine. But I know for a fact that almost more than 20,000 people have already lost their jobs because of certain things that Elon said or Trump said. And the merits and the demerits thereof, I'm not so much interested. I'm more interested in us appreciating that we have a society to build and play not into the hands of those who would bring undesirable consequences. And those consequences may not necessarily be borne by. We are sentimental. I understand that, but I'm not romantic. I'm a realist. I'm a pragmatist. I have this fractured past, but I don't want to be beholden to it. I'm looking at the now in order to fashion a better tomorrow for the benefit of posterity. Right. I lived under apartheid. I don't need to be lectured on that. Anybody who's 40 and below knows very little or almost nothing except through mediated knowledge or information by any form of structure. And these are the people in the main who sing and dance and want to give us lecture. Yes, I appreciate that they know, but they are too young to be beholden to that. Their peers are moving ahead. And incidentally, it's only blacks. I see no colors, no Indians, no whites. And they were part of the struggle, even the whites, by the way. And their children too, and the sacrifices made. Donald Trump may not support us, but the people of America supported us. And let's try to find a way to work with the people of America. Because Donald Trump will come and Donald Trump will go, but America will remain. Teffo will come and Teffo will go, but South Africa will remain.
Yeah, so that's Prof Teffo. He has really contrarian views. And even when I got this video on the comments on Facebook, there were lots of comments really castigating the professor, arguing that this kind of thinking is what has kept South Africa back, arguing that the professor doesn't understand that there has to be a historical correction of his historical injustices and all of that, and all of that. But when I listen to the professor, I think I see someone who has lived under apartheid and who has lived in the democratic South Africa. And for him, from where he stands, both in the history both in the past and in the present, it's almost as though it's night and day. So this is what I'm hearing from this professor in his analysis. And that's why it's really important that we have to watch this analysis to the end, because one of the major points, I don't want to spill out all the beans, what he's saying, but one of the major points he has in this interview here is that he's arguing that, you know, Mandela and Chris Hani, these will be representatives of the black majority, you know, the whole ANC fight against, you know, apartheid oppression, colonialism, oppression of the majority in South Africa. He argues that Mandela and Chris Hani in their graves now would be shocked at what's really going on in South Africa. He argues that it appears that the leadership in South Africa from the post-independence era has done worse, far worse than the homestead system, or he calls it the homeland system. In fact, the top of the top is that he argues that the black the leadership from 1994, or what we have today as leadership in South Africa, has done far worse than the apartheid system, and he has really consistent, coherent arguments to back up his point. So I'm blown, but I really want you guys to see. Let's have a really robust discussion in the comments. He thinks that South Africans are tired of cadre deployment. South Africans really want a meritocratic form of leadership and all of that. Really loaded professor, guys. So let's quickly listen to Professor Teffo Lea break down his problems and what he sees as the problems with this national convention that's actually, I don't know if it's going on, it's already concluded, but I saw a report that actually spoke about empty seats at some point, and people were really feeling as though this was a 750 million budget event to listen to what they already know and all that. Let's quickly listen to the Prof and share your thoughts in the comments.
Prof, perhaps if I can just start off with you, what do you think? There's this now, the statement by these 8 legacy foundations saying that they'll be briefing the nation on Wednesday, but of course they've said that they are not involved in this process, they will not take part in this process, and they've implored all who are here today to ensure that this is citizen-led and this is a credible process. What do you make out of that?
Well, I think it's a repeat of what they said yesterday and also. Okay, whatever the reason now for the repeat, I do not know. But what do we really mean when it must be citizens-led? You know, I don't want to beat about the bush. Personally, I don't think this dialogue is necessary. It's not. Precisely because what it wants to achieve, about 50,000 interviews across the country. Wait, in the most rural areas of Mpumalanga, Limpopo, Northern Cape, the uneducated, the illiterate, the average Joe in the street knows his or her problems. They want security, they want jobs, they want safety, they don't want potholes. Now, do you need to sit under a marula tree to get an answer to that? I just want to go straight to what the issues are and what the people think. Lo and behold, this roundabouts across the country is likely to be boycotted by the people. People are much smarter now than they were in 1994.
Prof, you heard what Yolo Gazi had to say. These issues are known by our leaders. You've heard what people had to actually say, that this is nothing new. It's in the NDP. We're 5 years away from 2030. The hope is that, you know, after this national dialogue, there'll be a social compact. And through this social compact, the social compact will then take forward, you know, government policies or the plans for the country. What do you see actually happening? I mean, you go through the NDP, it says, according to the NDP, unemployment should be around 6% in 2030. We are at 33.20%.
Yeah, it's a pity, ma'am. We are mesmerized at times by their concepts that sounds novel to those that are not fairly well read. There's nothing new that we are saying that was not said 30 years ago. We keep repeating the things. I attended 3 sessions this afternoon. I listened to the people speak, especially the young ones. They are representative from the communities, from the provinces. They say what the government knows and what I also know. And you want to spend about 500 or 700 million rand to go and listen to the things that you know and the people have told you. And here today, we can close the proceedings here. What was said and begin implementation. But as she says, lack of political will. They are obsessed with self-preservation. They are obsessed, the compradors, those that fought for the liberation, with self-preservation and not the other. I wonder where Chris Hani is. I wonder where Mandela is. Wherever they are looking down on us, what we have done. We have done far worse than the homeland system. We have done far worse than the apartheid system. And this, we must look each other in the eye and be honest with each other. Things are worse off. We keep talking and talking and talking, but things are not improving. We have the National Development Plan. Whatever outcome of these proceedings, 80% of it is already contained. What I heard today is what is known in the villages. Go to Nkwankwa, Umlazi, Nyanga or Langa, Mahikeng. People know what their problems are and the solutions they want. One, they don't want cadre deployment. They want people to be appointed on merit. The elephant in the room. People are saying, manage the borders. There are too many foreigners in the country. South Africa thinks is the best and the only people who understand human rights under the sun. There is no country that doesn't manage migration. There is legislation. If the law is made for man, man is not made for the law. Once the laws of your land no longer serve your people, even if that paper is called the Constitution, change it so that it can serve the people.
So this is definitely not a kumbaya moment. You know, people are speaking truth to power in these commissions, and like you've been saying that, you know, these are issues that we are aware of. Do you think that the leaders are actually really listening this time around? You know, Prof says that what's needed is political will. Do you think that the leaders are considering that, listen, yes, we've been in government for so long, not much has changed, but maybe, is this a Damascus moment perhaps? Prof?
Yes, look, you are saying what needs to be done. Are they listening? Yes, if they don't listen, it's well and good. The people will do to them what they did in 2004. No doubt about it. They will make them listen, right? They will find a way to make them listen. That's one. Number two, there are 4 or 5 points for the past 20 years I've been talking about. Change the electoral act so that the people of South Africa can elect their leaders. Ours is not a democracy, it's a quasi-democracy. In the 30 years, have you ever had a day where you stand in the queue to elect your president? That's one. Number two, deal with the problem of migration. Number 3, do away with cadre deployment. 4, BBE, affirmative action. Affirmative action was never intended, and this as much was said by Matlante, to be more than 10 years. It was an intervening measure. And if we can, let's remove this concept called transformation. The original meaning and the intention was good, but it has been so much corrupted that everything is done in the name of transformation. And the more we transform, the worse things become.
Our better minds in studio, thank you so much.